Myself, Dr. Asha Afrin from Vignaneshwara Government Law College, Kalburgi, Gulbarga, Karnataka. Today we shall go for the Negotiable Instrument Act, which was passed in the year 1881. Myself, Dr. Asha Afrin from Vignaneshwara Government Law College, Kalburgi, Karnataka. Today we shall go for the Negotiable Instruments Act, which was passed in the year 1881. Now, before going to the Negotiable Instruments Act, we should know the terms of the negotiable or instruments. Negotiable means transferable and instrument means it is a written document. So, negotiable instrument means it is a transferable, it is a written document which can be transferred from one person to another person. There are three negotiable instruments which is defined under section 13 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. The one is promissory note, and the second is bill of exchange, and the third is check. So section 4 of the Negotiable Instruments Act states that what is promissory note. So promissory note is an instrument in writing containing unconditional promise signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money to certain person. So what the section 4 of the negotiable instrument says that it says that it is an that instrument is in writing containing an unconditional promise and signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money to certain person. So what are the essential ingredients of the negotiable instruments are that the instrument must be in writing. If you say that if it is not in writing or it is in verbal or it is in oral, then it cannot be called as a negotiable instrument. So if I say that I promise to pay 1,000 rupees within 3 months, then it is not a negotiable instrument. Negotiable instrument must be in writing. If it is reduced into writing or if it is on the paper, then only it can be called as a promissory note. Then that it should contain a promise, and that promise must be unconditional. The promise, in the sense, what is promise? Promise is nothing but a declaration to pay or undertaking to pay the amount to the payee. So that there should be a promise to pay, and not only that promise, the promise must be an unconditional one. If you put any condition to that promise, then it is not called a promise note. If, for example, say that I pay you, I promise to pay you if you marry my daughter. If I say that I will promise to pay you if the Titanic arrives. So if you put any conditions, if you attach any conditions to the promise, then that is not called a promissory note. So promissory note must be in writing containing an unconditional promise and signed by the maker. Until and unless the maker has not signed on the instrument, it is not called an negotiable promissory note, because he will bind himself to the promissory note. He has to put the signature. Then come to the next ingredient, that is certain person must be there. That promissory note must be in writing containing an unconditional promise signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money to certain person. Certain person in the sense that that person must be in a certain, he must be a definite, he must be a identifiable. That he may be a company, he may be a director, he may be a legal entity, he may be XYZ, he may be an individual, but whatever he may be a certain person, identifiable person. If I say that I promise to the public that I will pay 1,000 rupees within 3 months, it is not a promissory note, because public in the sense it is not identifiable person. So the promissory note in whose favor we are doing, that person must be a certain person. And that it should contain a money only. If it contains anything other than the money, it is not called as a promissory note. And that money also should be certain, in the sense that 1,000 rupees or 2,000, whatever the amount may be there, written on the promissory note, that promissory note must contain a money and money only. If it contains any property, any claim, any interest, any gift, any anything other than the money, then it cannot be called as a promissory note. To whom we are giving that amount, that person must be certain. That is, the maker of the promissory note as well as the person to whom we are paying that amount, both persons must be certain. They should not be vague, they should not be public, they should not be community, whatever it may be, that must be certain only. Then there are two kinds of parties are there in the promissory note. One is a drawer, and then the second is a payee. P-A-Y-E-E, payee. So drawer is a person who creates the document, or the creator. We can also call him as a creator, or he may be an executor, or he may be a maker of the document. The person who creates, that person is called the maker. Then the payee is the person to whom we are giving that amount. That person, that is the payment to whom we are giving, or the person who receives the amount, or who is in possession of the promissory note, that person is called the payee. So, what is promissory note under Section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, which was passed in the year 1881, is that promissory note must be an instrument in writing containing an unconditional promise signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money to certain person. So, these are the ingredients of promissory note, and there are two parties. Already said, that drawer and then the payee. Now, let's move to another negotiable instrument, that is bill of exchange. Bill of exchange is defined under Section 5 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. What is bill of exchange? Bill of exchange is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money to a certain person. So here, that is, it is an order. It is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order. Order is a command, or it is a direction. So it is also in writing. If it is not in writing, if it is not on the paper, it is not reduced into a document, then it cannot be called as a bill of exchange. So bill of exchange must be in writing. If it is an oral, if it is an verbal, then it cannot be called as a bill of exchange. It must be in writing. Not only that, it must be an order. And order, in the sense, it is a direction, it is a command to the another person, so as to pay the amount. So that order must be unconditional. If you put any conditions, as already I said, that if you say that if you marry my daughter, if your Titanic arrives, or the rain comes today, then I order you to pay certain sum of money to certain person. It should not be like that. That order must be an unconditional. If you put any conditions to that order, then that cannot be called as a bill of exchange. Then the maker has to make a signature on the bill of exchange, so as to bind himself to that act, to that bill of exchange. Then come to the certain person. The maker must also be a certain person. That person who is going to make a bill of exchange, or who is creating a bill of exchange, that person must be a certain. It should not be a vague. That person must be an identifiable person. Then comes the money. It contains money and money only. If it is anything other than the money, that cannot be called the bill of exchange. If I say that I will supply you 100 bags of grains, or 100 bags of rice, and order some other person to pay certain grains to that person, that is not called as a bill of exchange. Bill of exchange must contain a money and money only. If it contains other than the money, that is, it may be grains, rice, or mobiles, computer, then it cannot be called as a bill of exchange. It should contain money only, and not only that money must be certain. It should be 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupees, or it may be 2 lakhs rupees, 2 lakhs. So it should not be vague. It should not be, if I say that I will pay you more than 1,000 rupees, what is that more? So it should not be like that. It should be certain. That money must be there, and money must be certain only. Then, so what is the bill of exchange? Bill of exchange is nothing but an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order directing certain person to pay certain certain sum of money to certain person. So here there are three parties. One is drawer, the second is drawee, and then the third is a payee. So drawer is a person who creates the bill of exchange, or who execute the bill of exchange. That person can be called as the executor, creator, or the maker of the bill of exchange. So now we'll move to check. That is under section 6 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, the check was defined that check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified bank, and it is not payable otherwise than on demand. So what is that? Check is nothing but a bill of exchange. That is, it should contain all the ingredients of the bill of exchange, and in addition to that bill of exchange, it must be drawn on a specified banker, and it should be payable only on demand. So these two conditions are attached. That is, it bill of exchange means check must include the features of the bill of exchange. That is, it must be in writing, it must be an instrument, it must be signed by the maker, it must be an unconditional order, and it must be directing certain person to pay certain sum of money. Here in this case, it is not that in check we are not directing to certain person, that it must be that certain person must be a specified banker only. But in case of bill of exchange only, we are directing some person to pay certain sum of money to certain person. But in this case, check we are drawing the check to a specified banker. That banker may be State Bank of India, that banker may be a Mysore Bank, that banker may be a Vijaya Bank. Whatever may be there, that person must be a specified banker. And not only that, until and unless the customer approaches to the bank, then the bank will not discharge the liability. These are two conditions that is to be fulfilled, otherwise that cannot be called as a check. So bank is also called a privileged debtor, because in case of a general debtor, we have seen that the person to whom we have paid the amount, or who is having our amount or our money, he will come to us, to our home, and then he will deliver our amount. But in case of a check, until and unless the customer who approaches to the bank, then only they will honor the check. In case of a death of the customer also, the legal representative of the customer, or the heirs of the customer, they have to approach to the bank, then only the bank will discharge the liabilities, its liabilities. So it is said that the banker is not a general debtor, he is a privileged debtor. So in this check, there are three parties, that is the drawer, and then the drawee, and then the payee. So drawer is the person who creates the check, and the drawee is a person who is a specified bank. In case of a check only, that drawee must be a specified bank only. That the drawer is directing the drawee, that is the bank, to pay certain sum of money to certain person or the bearer of the check. So third is the payee, the person to whom the payment has to go. So these are the three parties. So check, in the sense, check means check is a instrument, or it's a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker. It will not be payable otherwise than on demand. Unless and until demand is not met, the specified banker will not pay your amount. This is about the check. Now let's go for the comparison of the promissory note and the check. In case of promissory note, there are two parties, but in case of a check, there are three parties. In case of a promissory note, it is only a promise, but in case of a check, it is an order directing some person. So here also, primary liability in the case of promissory note is primarily it is a primary liability of the promisor. But in case of a check, the second liability is in case of a primary liability, the primary liability lies with the promisor, and in case of a secondary liability is with the banker. The grace period the grace period will not be allowed. The primary liability lies with the promisor in case of a promissory note, and in case of a check, it's a secondary liability. So in case of a grace, now let's come to the amendment or the changes took place in the Negotiable Instrument Act. In Negotiable Instrument Amendment Act, which was passed in the year 2015, a check has given an extended meaning. Now the check includes the electronic image of a truncated check. Truncated check means it is a check clearance system that involves the digitalization of a physical paper into substitute electronic form for transmission to the paying bank. It means that it is nothing but a process so as to reduce the physical check or physical paper and transform into a digitalization. With this, we can conclude here. Thank you.